Let's get into our first topic now, though. Is Sir Keir Starmer and Labour failing to tackle migrant crossings? 0207862 2222 is the number. A new record was set this weekend. Over 8,000 people have crossed the English Channel in 2025. It's already the worst start of any year ever. A couple of weeks ago, the Home Secretary Yvette Cooper blamed the good weather. She said, "We cannot continue like this, where the number of calm days affects the number of crossings." But at the end of last year, she refused to set firm targets for migrant crossings. Do you think Yvette Cooper and Starmer have lost control? Or has he never even got to grips with the situation, Russ?
No, he hasn't. He said he was going to smash the boats and stop the criminal gangs who are behind this. And instead of smashing them, he's put out the welcome mat. And to be fair to him, the only positive thing I would say is he inherited a situation, but it's getting worse and worse and worse. And it seems no matter how much money as a country we throw at this particular issue, it seems to attract more and more people who see the United Kingdom as a place where they can go and be safe, maybe, primarily, where they can be absolutely guaranteed a place to live, support financially, and all the things that this country can offer. And as a country, we are extremely welcoming, generous and understanding. I think we've got to a point where we see boatloads of men of a fighting age coming over. And the British public slightly now are starting to go,
when you say
this is non-stop.
When you say he's put out the welcome mat, what do you mean?
Well,
has he done any differently than the talk?
Well, he's done nothing, and that's the precise point. In the run-up to the election, he said, we are going to stop the boats. We are going to smash the gangs. But he also said a lot of other things as well that we know about. You know, we're going to do this, that and the other that haven't quite materialised. I think that this is a really significant problem that is costing the United Kingdom, a country that is essentially skint millions and millions and millions of pounds a week that we can ill afford. So why don't we stop that, give the pensioners their winter fuel payments, and spend money on our own people unless they pass an extremely rigorous entry questionnaire and a genuine asylum seekers.
Nelufar, we've got the Border Security and Asylum and Immigration Act coming in. Do we have to wait for that? At what point do we draw a line in the sand and say, actually, that's it. You've had a good go, but you've failed?
Your question directly, if we take away all the rhetoric and all the emotional kind of language out of it, this is a numbers game. This is an issue with the number of people who are coming here on small boats, risking life and limb for themselves, their children, often with nothing to go back to, coming from absolutely obliterated. Have we ever stopped to question why we have so many people trying to come to the UK? Is the world a safer place than when Keir Starmer took office? Is it a more volatile place? What's happening in those countries to ensure that people don't actually make the perilous, or I've made that journey, I know what that's like, to risk everything, the safety of your family, your life itself. If we set aside the fact that these aren't just people and just look at the hard numbers, the Illegal Migration Act will give more powers to control the borders, to enforce laws, moreover, to return people who come by illegal means, which I'm actually dubious whether that's even legal under international law. Say we get all of that in place. It's not going to stop people from coming. It's not going to stop people from coming. The question here at hand, if we take away the flowery language, is what do we do with them once they're here? We process them, we decide whether they can stay or leave. For the last 14 years, it was obvious that the previous government did not care about the migrants coming in or processing them. All they wanted to do was to have something, a battering ram, something to have over the British public. So whenever the government went into disarray, they had something to point at and went, look over there, there's some illegals. More importantly, and this is really, you must take into consideration the fact that for many of the people coming into this country, including Afghanistan, where I'm from, there are no legal routes. You have made every route illegal by making it no legal routes.
Do you know what? It is a numbers game. It costs this country millions of pounds a week. We have a small island where the population is getting bigger and bigger and bigger. We can't fit so many people in. We don't have an infrastructure.
We do not have enough people of working age in this country. One of the biggest problems we're going to face in the next 10 years is the fact that we have more old people who are out of work than young people who can work. I'm not saying that the solution to this is to allow more boats in. What I'm saying is let's be proportional and realistic with what we're talking about. But one more thing, and this is really important, Russ. When a migrant, a refugee from Afghanistan, Albania, from Afghanistan, Iraq, Iran, comes over here, they're not thinking about the $1 million sign on top of their forehead to the taxpayer. Okay. They just don't want to die.
I want to take as many calls as we can on this. Anne is in West Yorkshire. What do you think, Anne, is Keir Starmer, is Yvette Cooper? Are they failing to deal with this problem?
Absolutely failing, being far too soft on the problem, and that's why everyone is voting for Nigel Farage, and he's so popular now because people know he will do something about it, and they ought to be taking a hard line like Australia and doing it properly. Okay,
so what are you suggesting? What is he suggesting that you agree with would be the answer to this problem?
Well, I think just to take the Australian attitude towards it and deal with it like the Australians do and be a bit hardliner. Well, I'm not saying that there should be no refugees.
Specifically what, though, Anne? What do you do with them when they reach the shores of the United Kingdom?
Well, as I have already said, I think they should be dealt with a little bit more harshly.
You're not actually saying
return back to the countries they have come from if they come here illegally, and they're not being returned in the numbers that they're coming in. OK,
one of the statistics I saw looking through this, Nelufar, is about a quarter of returns to countries are actually enforced. Is that enough? Could we be boosting those numbers?
There is nothing... Listen, I'm not against controlling the border. I do agree with you that this is in disarray. We are not serving the refugees and the migrants who are coming here at all. And we're not serving taxpayers. Nobody is winning in this situation. A refugee who comes to this country doesn't want to be in a detention centre or locked up or cooped up as much as anyone else does. And we pay for that. What I'm trying to say, the Australian method is interesting, Anne, because Australia is genuinely an island in the middle of nowhere, very hard to get to, unlike the UK, which has got many neighbouring countries. We have people trying to get over from France, we have people trying to get over from Morocco, from Libya. We've got a much more vulnerable coastline. But it's a case of people want to come to Britain because we are fair, because we are equitable.
We have a vulnerable coastline, Nella, because it's not managed correctly by the government.
Yes. That's not the refugees' fault. They are going to continue to try to come here.
It may make them think twice. For example, just a very quick point. A lot of these people, as you say, are coming from, like yourself, Afghanistan, Syria, Iran. But why would somebody from that part of the world, a warmer country than this one, want to come to a freezing, cold, inclement weather Northern European?
Climate, though, why? I mean, we're talking about war zones, Russ. We're talking about people leaving.
Do you know why? Because for 15 years...
Why hasn't Saudi taken anybody?
Because for 15 years, they saw the British on their land fighting a war.
OK, let's take another call. Let's take another call. Here's Richard in Lincolnshire. What do you think, Richard? Do you believe that Keir Starmer, that the Labour government, is failing to deal with migration?
Well, like the gentleman said on the panel, that I think, he promised to stop the boats and it's just got worse. I'm watching the news this morning and interested because I'm an ex-steel worker. I'm interested in that news. I was watching that they decided to send the army in to clean the streets of Birmingham. Why not? If I was Keir Starmer, why not use the Royal Navy to help in the Channel? If we can use the army in Birmingham, why can't we use the Royal Navy?
And what happens, Richard, when they come across a small boat? What do? Do you just tow it back to the French coastline?
Well, we've been hearing in the last few months that as soon as they set off from Calais, is that the French are helping them to get to the border and helping them across, and then it's up to our Royal Navy or the Royal NLI lifeboats to help out.
Is that Is that really what their job is? The RNLI is to return people to the place they came from?
It isn't, but It isn't. It
Voluntary
isn't. But
service,
it is our Royal Navy. I don't want to go into years ago, but 80 years ago we stopped an armed force, the regime coming over, and at the moment, 80 years on, we can't stop. We can't stop a few little boats coming over.
I want to take another call. Janice is in Essex. Janice, do you think that Labour is failing to deal with migrant crossings?
Absolutely. I'm not saying Conservative did any better, but Europe is absolutely picking it up and trying to do something about it. Now, if I was in France and I'm watching all these gangs fighting each other, if I was a French person, I'd be kicking them over the water. But I think now we've really got to start taking this seriously. The person that is doing the outboard motor gets picked up, gets put separate, because he's probably one of the gangs. So we arrest that one. That's the only way he can smash the gangs. But I do think, Belgium's been doing a good job for us. But when you're looking at European countries, they're trying to sort it out. They're stopping them, but not us. We're just going, let them in.
Russ, wasn't this a
and as for the rubbish, we can get some of them and let them clear the rubbish.
Russ, isn't this the perfect opportunity to cooperate with Europe, to actually collaborate with them and come to a solution together? Because it's something that affects both sides of the channel.
Well, it's interesting what, Janice said about Belgium are doing a good job. Our problem predominantly comes from France, from northern France, as we all know. The British government is paying enormous sums of money to Emmanuel Macron and his government to stop this happening. And
right.
It's a waste of money.
We're going to take another call. Lulu's in County Durham. What do you think? Is Starmer doing the right thing? Is he heading in the right direction, Lulu?
I've got a feeling he's trying to put something right that has been wrong for a long time. First of all, I do agree with the young lady there that by making so many routes illegal, basically not really illegal, but stopping people from visiting the country is a start of the problem. If I wanted a visa from Africa to come to Britain, I'm denied and I'm put through horrible processes. Yes, as a Brit now, if I choose anywhere in the world to go, I go anyway. Some places, no visa. Some places, oh, you're a Brit, we'll give you a visa straight away. It's not a problem, so we can go anywhere. Because of that stopping of mobility of human beings, it's caused a massive problem. Number two, I believe it's cheaper to if you are attacked in this country, in those waters, there'll be boats lined up to defend our country. So I believe it's cheaper to have personnel to return all the boats, escort them back. It's cheaper that way, escort them back. And then the government can focus on the ones already here. One, do not subsidize them, okay? Do not subsidize them, because when I'm struggling here with my bills, no one subsidizes my bills.
Lulu, we're going to have to leave it there. Thank you.